Well, this feels like a playoff game, the atmosphere here today. Let's check in along the sideline with Laura Oakman.
Tom, normally players show up about 3 hours before kick and watch television, the early games in the locker room. Not today. Sean Payton had the televisions turned off. He did not want his guys watching the Carolina game. Said Curtis Lofton, there was no way we could watch that game and not be emotionally invested. And we want all our emotions right here, right now. And for those of you thinking they were doing a little cheating, a little scoreboard watching, Tom, that game was definitely omitted from the stadium scoreboard.
Makes you wonder, Laura, if that 49ers-Cardinals score will be put up in the stadium. Let's not forget now, there is a chance the Saints could lose this game today. They don't want to hear anything about that against Greg Schiano's Tampa Bay Buccaneers and still get in. That would mean the 49ers would have to beat the Arizona Cardinals. Tampa Bay won the toss, deferred to the second half, and it's banged out of the back of the end zone. And Drew Brees before the game trying to get his troops ready.
Hey fellas, it's days like today, it's games like this is why we play football! For opportunities like this, man, together, we put in the time, we put in the work, we put in the prep for one thing, and that's just win, baby! Just win, baby! Here we go! 1, 2, win, 3, 4, win, 5, win, 7, win, 9, win!
Just win, and that means they'll nail down that final slot in the NFC playoff picture. The ball is given to Pierre Thomas, and that's a gain of 4, almost 5 on first down. Drew Brees, second only in virtually every category among NFL quarterbacks this season to Peyton Manning. Second best completion percentage, second most yards, second most touchdown passes with 35. Brees trying to go over 5,000 passing yards for what would be the third consecutive season and the fourth time in his career he's eclipsed that mark. Lance Moore up to the 34-yard line, and that'll be a first down for New Orleans. Lots of weapons year in and year out for Drew Brees to work with.
Certainly does, but on that left side, Terron Armstead has struggled in terms of protection of Drew Brees' backside. Of course, you got Pro Bowlers and Ben Grubbs, and Jari Evans, and Jimmy Graham is the go-to guy for Drew Brees.
Armstead had a rough start, his first in the NFL a week ago against that tenacious Carolina Panthers defense. The rookie left tackle allowed 3 sacks and had 2 penalties in the first half alone. That's a backup tight end, Benjamin Watson, and he is run out of bounds at the 40-yard line. Defensively for Tampa Bay, they've been pretty good. They rank overall number 13 in the league.
They got up a couple Pro Bowlers over their own, and Gerald McCoy, Darrelle Revis, Levante David, many thought should be in the Pro Bowl, and Deshaun Goldson, he's just looking to get through a whole game without getting fined.
Well, you're not lying about that. We documented the money that's been taken out of Golson's wallet over the course of this year, and it was tacked on 15,000 more a week ago. That is a first down run for Darren Sproles. Tackled at the 45-yard line.
And in typical fashion, the New Orleans Saints head coach Sean Payton constantly rotating people through offensively. There's no team in the league that will shuffle its personnel going from 2 tights to 2 backs to 3 wides, variations of 2 tights and 2 backs, no more so than the New Orleans Saints.
Sean Payton celebrating his 50th birthday today. He was hoping that Santa Claus would hang around for a few extra days and gift wrap the Atlanta Falcons win over the Carolina Panthers earlier today. That did not happen. You and I were in Carolina after they had started the season 0-2. They were playing the 3rd game of the year against the Giants, who are also winless. They were having a bye the following week. Remember, and everybody was talking, if they didn't win that game, that Ron Rivera might lose his job, and now he's on his way to being the NFL's Coach of the Year.
Yeah, they didn't think they were going to make it out of the week had they lost. And that just shows you life in the NFL. What have you done for me lately?
2nd and 9, and that is Jimmy Graham, the leader in everything among NFL tight ends. Receptions, yards, leads all receivers and touchdowns. And that's the final earlier today. The Panthers clinching a bye as NFC South champions. They came up with a big win against these Saints last weekend.
And these Saints know now, obviously, they're going to have to play in the first week of the playoffs. Getting that rhythm beyond just getting this win is going to be so important to them.
Look at the play made by Levante David on a 3rd and 1. Now do the Saints go for it on 4th down?
Well, this is a team, remember, that last week against Carolina tried an onside kick and a fake punt, or a fake field goal, I should say. I wouldn't put it past Sean Payton. Boy, this is a statement here saying we are going to go take this game right here. They might initially try to just draw them off sides.
They've got the rookie Kyrie Robinson in the backfield. And now they'll spend a timeout. Or are they going for it?
Today's game is sponsored by Southwest Airlines. Find our fares online only at southwest.com.
Playoff clinching scenario for these New Orleans Saints. They don't have to worry about anything. They just win this game today. They win and they are in. Or, the key word in that sentence, an Arizona Cardinals loss. 49ers have the football in that game. 1st and goal at the Arizona 8-yard line. And they go on 4th down, and a second effort earns a 1st down from the fullback Jed Collins, the converted college linebacker in his 3rd year as a starter for the Saints.
The Saints would love to get their running game cranked up here, Tom, because obviously they're going to be on the road in week 1, and you've got to be able to pack your defense and a running attack when you go on the road. They know they can throw the ball. They'd love to get the running game cranked up here as a prelude to next week.
We will talk more and more about the difference of this New Orleans Saints team here in the Superdome, where they have not lost all year long. And then this team that goes on the road, down the middle of the field, and that is a touchdown for Lance Moore. An extra celebration involving more than just Lance Moore draws a penalty flag in the end zone.
Oh, this is just classic New Orleans Saints. Drew Brees, total control.
After the touchdown, unsportsmanlike conduct, number 84 of the scoring team for an illegal demonstration. That penalty will be enforced on the kickoff. The touchdown stands.
Lance Moore in the slot. They're just going to put 3 verticals on the right side. He just blows by Leonard Johnson. Johnson looked like maybe he thought he had help over the top. Drew Brees buying time in the pocket, delivering the perfect strike to Johnson.
Lance Moore, excuse me, on for the point after 15 touchdown passes this season. It's gone for 20 yards or longer. 44 yards to Lance Moore.
Game is sponsored by Bud Light, official beer sponsor of the NFL.
9 plays, 80 yards, capped off by the 44-yard touchdown reception by Lance Moore from Drew Brees. How about that? First touchdown on their opening drive, going all the way back to week 4. That's hard to believe with this offense. So after the penalty, Morstead has to kick it away from the 20. That's a good kick. Eric Page at the 10. And he's up to the 33-yard line. Well, still on his feet. Sounded as though they initially blew the whistle. As we're going to bring you up to date on the NFC playoff picture, Seattle's in, Carolina's in. Of course, the showdown games later tonight. Philadelphia, Dallas, showdown game on Fox right now. Chicago and Green Bay, all the marbles in the NFC North. San Francisco is in. If the Saints win, they are in. Or an Arizona loss puts the Saints in. Should New Orleans lose and Arizona win, Arizona goes to the playoffs. Mike Glennon on first down, rolling, and just throws it away. Glennon, 24 years old, out of Fairfax County, Virginia, backed up Josh Freeman the first 3 games. Took over as the starter at the end of September. 17 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, but has struggled over the last 4 weeks. Catch made on the near side by Owusu. They'll bring up 3rd down.
Tampa Bay Buccaneers offensively have a couple former Pro Bowlers, Donald Penn and Davin Joseph. You want to watch the running game of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? Follow the fullback Eric Lorig. We talked about creating big plays down the field. No more so than to Vincent Jackson, their big play receiver.
Vincent Jackson up over 1,000 yards again this season. That's his 5th over the last 6 years. 3rd down and 5. Glennon steps up and delivers a strike to the aforementioned Jackson, who has a career high in receptions. That's his 75th of the year.
Good solid protection for Mike Glennon. 3rd down has been kind of the nemesis for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, but the 3rd mediums have been the key. Get to those 3rd mediums. Vincent Jackson, we said, if they're going to make big plays, if they're going to sustain drives, it's going to be to Vincent Jackson on the outside.
They had only converted 20 of their last 96 3rd down attempts. 1st down. Rainey takes it, pitches it back to Glennon. Wide open in the end zone is Underwood, and that is a touchdown for Tampa Bay. Trickery delivered by the Buccaneers against the Saints.
When we say, Tom, if they're going to stay up with the New Orleans Saints, they got to come up with big plays, and they do it with what we used to call the pitchback pass. You're going to watch this. Everybody's going to come running up after he actually hands the ball off on the inside, turns, throws it back beautifully to the quarterback. That's as important part of that play as the throw itself. You can see the safeties clearly got beat, jumping up to take away the run, and got beat on the classic pitchback pass.
48-yard touchdown reception by Underwood. The point after by Ryan Lendell is good. Well, the Buccaneers, after serving up a touchdown, come right back and answer to tie the game at 7.
Today's game is sponsored by Nissan and the all-new Rogue. Nissan, innovation that excites. By State Farm, it pays to double check. Talk to your agent today. And by AT&T, rethink possible.
Historic Jackson Square, named in honor of Battle of New Orleans hero Andrew Jackson. Tyquan Underwood, touchdown reception to tie this game at 7 for Underwood. That's his 4th touchdown of the year. We saw him have the monster game in Detroit earlier this season. 108 yards on just 3 catches. All right, there's a lot happening all over the NFL. Let's check in for the first time today with Joel Klatt. Hi, Joel.
Hey, Tom, let's go up to Seattle. Remember the Seahawks, a win, and they earned the 1 seed home field advantage in the NFC playoffs. This is going to help. Malcolm Smith, 37-yard interception return for the touchdown off of Kellen Clemens. The Seahawks up 7-0. Tom, Brian, and Laura.
All right, Joel, thank you very much. Going into this final weekend, 18 teams were still alive to reach the playoffs. That Saints defense, which has been turned around brilliantly so by Rob Ryan. But giving up the big play, and that's something, Brian Billick, you said right from the get-go that Tampa Bay had to do.
Number 93 defense. 5-yard penalty, remains 1st down.
Well, Drew Brees, you said this guy's a future Hall of Famer, and his pregame warm-up is legendary. This thing is, it's not just haphazard. He has a very specific structure to it, definite progression that he goes through. You watch this guy work out at practice, it's the same here, and obviously finishes it with an autograph signing session for the fans. He is the captain of this ship.
On a 1st down and 5. Well, few players, in fact, the argument can be made that Drew Brees has been the single greatest free agent signed by any team in the history of the NFL. Came over from San Diego in 2006. Since then, he leads the NFL in passing yards, touchdowns, 300-yard games. Been to 6 Pro Bowls. 79-47 his record, including 5 playoff wins, and most importantly, the Super Bowl title. bunt to his favorite target one of these many years, Marcus Colston. And he's up to the 26-yard line. It brings up 3rd down and 4. Look at the numbers since joining the Saints. That's just a couple of them. And you could go on and on.
Yeah, the numbers are stunning. But the relationship between Drew Brees and Sean Payton, because they took a chance on Drew Brees. A lot of the league bypassed that. Let's remember, Miami Dolphins rejected him because of the physical. He feels a great deal of debt to Sean Payton, and I think he's repaid that debt.
Long debt before it ever started. This will be a false start against the Saints.
False start, number 80. Offense, 5-yard penalty, remains 3rd down.
It's Jimmy Graham. It was a shoulder that was a concern of the Miami Dolphins, and they weren't the only ones. You were still a head coach that year, Brian. I mean, I don't know whether you were looking for a quarterback that particular season.
I was always looking for a quarterback, man. Are you kidding me? And that really comes down to your doctors. Your doctors have to tell you, look, we think he's got an upside. Again, Miami failed him on the physical. Is why he didn't end. Not that he would have gone to Miami necessarily, but he, like I said, he's very indebted to Sean Payton. They're connected at the hip. They think the same way.
They're down at 8, and it is a 1st down up to the 31-yard line, and again it's Lance Moore. There's another guy on this Saints team that's just been a great story.
Well, he's been the go-to guy right here for Drew Brees. I mean, Marcus Colston and Jimmy Graham, these are the names you hear more often. But in critical situations, Lance Moore is actually that guy that has maybe the longest relationship and that subtle, I know where you're going to go, you know where I'm going to throw it, type of relationship with Drew Brees.
Moore, an undrafted free agent out of the University of Toledo back in 2005. Closing in on 350 career receptions, and that one down the middle of the field. And the catch is made by Jimmy Graham, and he's to the 35.
This is a variation on a theme. You're going to see Jimmy Graham, the inside of the 3-receiver side. This is basically the same play they scored on to Lance Moore, with a vertical down the top of the numbers, with the big Jimmy Graham dragging a few bodies along the way.
See Keith Tandy there, 37. He is starting in place of the injured Mark Barron. Barron, missing these last 2 games of the year, has had a solid year. Set up the screen to Ingram. Spins away from one tackle and is dropped in the 30-yard line. And a penalty flag is down right in the spot where Ingram was tackled.
Illegal block on the back, number 66, offense, 10-yard penalty, 1st down.
That's Ben Grubbs, the left guard, pulling out, and no team runs screens more than the New Orleans Saints, particularly to Darren Sproles or their running back. He's the primary screen guy. They're comfortable in doing it to Pierre Thomas. They're comfortable in doing it, obviously, with the Ingram.
The reception total for both Pierre Thomas and Darren Sproles is just stacked. Thomas chopped down by Deshaun Goldson. You got Pierre Thomas, their 2nd leading receiver, with 76 catches on the year. Their 3rd leading receiver is Darren Sproles. He's 1 away from 70.
And Sproles is the dangerous one because they break him out of the backfield like a 3rd receiver. He comes out of the backfield. They'll give the ball to him in the eye occasionally, but really a dynamic player. Pierre Thomas tends to be the little drop-offs at the end of the play when Drew Brees has no place else to go.
7-7 game, 2nd down and 12, and they drop it off to Sproles inside the 20 and down to the 14-yard line.
This is a brilliant throw by Drew Brees. And you're saying, what's so brilliant about a little toss like that? He hit Darren Sproles in dead stride. He didn't have to look back, change his body action. It was downhill all the way. This is nothing more than an extended handoff That's one of those beautiful, simple throws by Drew Brees. Hey, an explosive play is an explosive play. Doesn't matter where he begins it.
24-yard gain. First down. At the Tampa Bay 14-yard line. Put it in the hands of Ingram. Good strong running. Pick up with close to 4.
Just look at the numbers here, Tom. I mean, the diversification of this offense. Jimmy Graham, he targets him about a quarter of the time. Pierre Thomas mostly out of the backfield. Marcus Colston's more their intermediate guy. Darren Sproles, many of his catches come out of the backfield just like we saw. And as we said, Lance Moore is not even on here. He's the guy typically in third down Drew Brees is looking to.
And Moore has missed 3 games this season with a hand injury, or else he'd be up there in the 50s, 60s where he's been pretty much every year over the last 8 seasons. Brees to the end zone. And that's Jimmy Graham, who's now 1 away from tying the all-time record of Rob Gronkowski. Graham is 16th receiving touchdown of this season.
Well, when they put Jimmy Graham in motion here, they're doing it to see who are you going to put on Jimmy Graham when I move him. And that's exactly what Drew Brees saw. No one motioned with him, which meant zone. He was just waiting for Graham to find that void in the zone underneath the coverage of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Graham for the point after. 2 possessions, 2 touchdown throws. 14-7 Saints. Rob Gronkowski 2 years ago, 17 touchdowns, the most all-time in a single season by a tight end. Jimmy Graham now 1 away from tying, 2 away from setting a new benchmark. Of course, Antonio Gates did it with San Diego back in 2004. If I recall, Drew Brees was in San Diego.
That's a pretty good looking group of tight ends there when you throw in Vernon Davis and the 49ers.
A playoff spot on the line for the Saints and an early 7-point lead. Saints with a 14-7 lead. They win, they're in. They're also keeping an eye on that 49er Cardinal game. And San Francisco has jumped out to a 10-0 lead in Glendale, Arizona.
Ball start, number 30, offense, 5-yard penalty, first down.
That's a man who took the pitch, Brian Leonard.
Let's go back to that play. Anytime you see a receiver motion from the outside, that's a coverage tip for the quarterback. No one runs with Jimmy Graham. That tells Drew Brees this is going to be zone right there. He's just waiting for that void in the zone to open up. Jimmy Graham knowing right where to set down to get the touchdown for his future Hall of Fame quarterback, Drew Brees.
110th career game for Drew Brees with 2 or more touchdown passes. That's the 5th most all-time behind Favre, Manning, Marino, and Brady. And this is a tight end, a rookie tight end, Tim Wright, who has had an excellent season, his 48th catch of the year. Well, coming up Friday, one of the great bowl games of the season on Fox. It'll be the AT&T Cotton Bowl Classic Friday night, 7:30 Eastern. 13th ranked Oklahoma State taking on number 8 Missouri. Good start for Glennon, including the touchdown pass. And on 2nd and 5, Leonard just short of reaching the first down at the 30. We have a score in Chicago. How about it, Kurt Menefee?
Well, Aaron Rodgers threw an early interception in the end zone. The Bears marched the length of the field with it. Cutler to 14. 4-yard score, and the Bears lead at 7-0 in the first quarter. Tom, Brian, and Laura, as you know, the winner of this game captures the NFC North.
That's right, and the loser will be watching.
That's what NFL is all about. Green Bay Packers, Chicago Bears, everything on the line. You got to run.
3rd down and a yard. Leonard up to the 32, and that is a first down. What a turnaround for this Saints defense this season. Among the top 5 in virtually every category.
Cameron Jordan going to his Pro Bowl, obviously the inside presence. You talk to the coaches, Akeem Hicks, and Junior Gillette. They keep talking about the impact players on the inside of their guys. And on the back end, Roman Harper, this may be his last regular season game with the New Orleans Saints.
Of course, he's replacing the injured Kenny Vaccaro, who broke his ankle last week against Carolina. Up to the 34, that's Leonard. And you know what's even more amazing about what the Saints have done this year? Remember, they brought in a number of players to fit into this 3-4 scheme. Victor Butler, Kenyon Coleman, both came over from Dallas, where Rob was last year. They had Will Smith, who got injured in the preseason. We were there when he got hurt in Houston. And look at the turnaround. The defense allowed the most yards in a single season in the history of the NFL in 2012. Looking for the big ball down the sideline. And incomplete. Vincent Jackson looking for a flag.
Well, I like the fact that Mike Glennon is taking shots. We talked about the fact that they're so committed to the run game. Right here, he's playing the ball, but just that hand up right there. Oh boy, he got away with one there. Anytime you get contact in the helmet or the face mask, it usually gets called. It is getting extremely loud in here. Mike Glennon in the gun. Nope, he's up under center. No, he's in gun. This is where you got to watch now. You can see the left guard tapping the center. It is awful hard to hear. Gives him a little tap to tell him this is the time to get the ball on.
They roll him out. The Saints sniff this one coming. That is a big-time play by David Hawthorne, but also Junior Gillette saw that coming. That'll be the final play of this opening quarter. 14-7 Saints. Fox NFL Sunday continues in a moment. Set to begin the second quarter here at the Superdome in New Orleans. I think they know a thing or two about celebrating here in this town, Brian. They love their Saints. This is such a great environment wherever we have the chance to come down here. And they're coming out so far and playing like a team are the Saints is trying to get in the playoffs.
Yeah, they are. They haven't even, Tampa Bay hasn't even slowed down New Orleans in terms of big plays down the field. Tampa Bay's trying to run the ball, keep it away from Drew Brees. They've taken the trickeration shot down the field. They're going to need a lot more of that if they're going to keep up with this fast-moving train of the New Orleans Saints.
Good punt by Michael Kane and great coverage down the field. That's Leonard Johnson, who just dropped him at the 15-yard line. Let's check in down along the sideline with Laura Oakman.
Tom, Curtis Lofton agrees with what Brian said. He said, we're expecting crazy today. Onside kicks, double reverses. They are able to and are willing to do anything desperate. But he said, we know, they know, and everyone in this building and outside of it knows we're the better team. We have to be disciplined and play our game, not theirs.
All right, Laura, thank you very much. Meanwhile, the 49ers have gone ahead of Arizona 17-0 at the end of the opening quarter.
Ready for shot.
First down, Breeze, pump fake one way, comes back the other way, finds a reliable Moore, who stays on his feet, and that's a gain of 12 up to the 30-yard line. Drew Brees, perfect so far today.
Well, and Tampa Bay has done what they've wanted to do in terms of trying to strike some balance and get the big play. But unless this defense, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, can start to put pressure on Drew Brees and slow it down just a little bit, he's going to continue to take those shots down the field.
5-9. Move it down here. Ready. Down. Blue 80 for shot.
Ingram on first down, breaks a couple of tackles, still on his feet across the 40. And up to the 44-yard line. Powerful running by the former Heisman Trophy winner out of Alabama.
Just simple downhill, following the fullback. Jed Collins, and they have the personnel to be a physical running team. When you're talking about Mark Ingram, Pierre Thomas is also a good physical back as well. This is exactly what Ingram loves to do. This is his background. He's got the physicality. They just haven't been as committed to the run as I know Sean Payton would like to be this year, and is going to need to be on the road in the playoffs.
Incomplete on first down. That's the first incomplete pass from Drew Brees in the game. He had started 11 of 11. First game between these two teams, week 2, it took a field goal by Garrett Hartley as time expired for New Orleans to come away with a win, 16-14. Brees was intercepted twice in that game and was sacked 4 times. Sitting down and making the catch close to midfield is Sproles.
And Sean Payton said, looking back at that game, it felt like it was a lifetime ago. Because keep in mind, that was with Josh Freeman in the lineup, Mike Williams in the lineup. They had Doug Martin. This is a totally different Tampa Bay team. And looking at the film this week, he had to remind his team that this team is nothing like the team they played earlier in the year.
In fact, to take it even one step further, of the 6 players that accounted for yards offensively in that game for Tampa Bay, not one of them will play outside of Vincent Jackson. Slant catch made by Colston, and that is a first down to the 36-yard line.
New Orleans Saints just have so many weapons. Whatever you want to focus on defensively, we're going to take away Jimmy Graham. You know what? We'll get Lance Moore a little bit. Here you can see now Marcus Colston. Okay, we've hit Graham. We've hit Moore. Okay, how about Marcus Colston now just dragging underneath? And oh, by the way, we got Darren Sproles coming out of the backfield a little bit. So many weapons for Drew Brees to go to with this New Orleans offense.
Colston, the Saints' all-time leader in receptions, receiving yards. Stuffed behind the line of scrimmage by Levante David is Pierre Thomas. And let's check in back in Los Angeles once more with Kurt Menefee.
All right, Saints clutch a playoff spot with a win or an Arizona loss. And right now, San Francisco is taking care of the latter. Vernon Davis, 3-yard touchdown reception from Kaepernick. And it's 17-0. San Francisco all over the Cardinals right now. Good news for Saints fans. Tom and Brian.
The 49ers have a lot to play for in that game, too. Drop behind the line of scrimmage as Sproles all the way back at the 39-yard line. There is still a chance for the 49ers to be the #1 seed and have home field advantage.
And I think they're also serving notice that they are going to be a factor along with the Seattle Seahawks. They're as good a looking team as I've seen in the second half of the season. They're going to challenge the Seahawks. It's interesting how the teams align themselves. This New Orleans Saints, yeah, they can throw the ball very well, but their defense is playing very well as well to see if they can make a run at this NFC playoff battle.
Third down. And sacked is Brees by Gerald McCoy all the way back in midfield. So for the first time in 3 possessions, the Tampa Bay defense delivers a stop.
Just McCoy's going to, he's just going to split the double team right here. Looked like the center, Brian De La Puente, thought he was going to get a little help from the left guard, Ben Grubbs, and he did not at all. McCoy just blew through that gap to get the sack on Drew Brees.
Brees has been hit more this year and sacked more this year than any time during his great Saints career. That one checks up, beautifully done by Morstead, pinned inside the 10-yard line. 14-7, Saints in front.
Today's game on Fox is sponsored by Ram Trucks, Guts, Glory, Ram. By AT&T, Rethink Possible. And by Pizza Hut. Order online now from Pizza Hut. Make it great.
Welcome back to New Orleans, 14-7. The Saints in front. New Orleans wins. They're off to the playoffs. And that would begin for them next weekend as a road team in the #6 overall seed. Tampa Bay to throw it on first down. Glennon off the mark with an eye on right. You know, I made the comment a moment ago, Brian. The 49ers a lot to play for today because Carolina has already won. Should Seattle lose, the 49ers, the best they could do would be the 2 seed because they lost to Carolina, if you remember, earlier this year. But they get a first-round bye. How important is that right now?
And that's a pretty good place to be for both those two NFC West teams, Seattle and San Francisco.
Seattle only a 7-0 lead at halftime against the Rams. Randy finds a seam and brings it up close to the 14-yard line. That'll bring up third down for Tampa Bay.
And Tampa Bay,
hurry up.
Yeah, they're going into no huddle. They're trying to calm down some of the different looks they're getting from this Rob Ryan defense.
Lennon looking for Jackson. And did he come down inbounds? No. Out of bounds when he made the catch.
Almost a brilliant play by Vincent Jackson, one of the big play receivers. Big, I mean, physically, just watch on the outside. He almost tippy-toes those outside feet in order to keep it in bounds. Kind of a jump ball by Mike Glennon. And just barely, I can't see his feet. Let's see what happens here. He clearly has control. And again, no, clearly out of bounds. In the old days, that might have been called a force out. The last couple of years, obviously, the change in the rule that says you got to come down with your feet in bounds regardless of when you get hit.
Run by Keenan. And we'll see where they mark it as it sails out of bounds. Should be good field position. Breezing the Saints from the 43-yard line. 14-7, Saints with the football, 9:33 to play until halftime. Drew Brees 13 of 14, 183 yards and a pair of touchdowns.
Drew Brees is waiting for the personnel group to come in. They hold to the very last second. You see this in college a lot. He doesn't even know what group's coming in right now. This group's going to come in. Nobody rotates personnel like the New Orleans Saints, trying to put pressure on the Tampa Bay defense as to what personnel they should have in the game and what their call needs to be.
Nearly perfect so far for Brees. Thomas up for a 1-yard loss. Thomas last week became only the second Saint ever with 3,500 yards plus rushing, 2,000 plus receiving. Another college free agent. Much like Lance Moore, they got Marcus Colston in the 7th round in 2006. What a job they've done. Good protection. What a throw. What a throw to Jimmy Graham, and that is a first down to the Tampa Bay 41-yard line.
Just right into here. Jonathan Banks is all over him, but being all over Jimmy Graham doesn't do you a whole lot of good. Not at the size. This guy, Drew Brees, knows there's a huge sweep spot. He can put it, puts it right on the money, up just high enough over the top of the coverage corner. This is why this is his #1 go-to guy. He gives him such options down the field in terms of his size and athleticism.
Graham with that catch has just become the Saints' all-time leader in receiving yards by a tight end, and he's only in his 4th year in the league. Batted ball, 2nd and 10. Let's check in with Laura Oakman.
I had a wonderful pregame talk with Jimmy Graham about Tony Gonzalez, who supposedly played his last game today. Tony loves Jimmy. As a person and as a player, I told that to Jimmy. He had a huge smile on his face. He said, to have done it as long as Tony has and to do it with that much character is a mold I've tried to copy. He said the most important thing Tony taught him and told him was take care of your body. And Jimmy's modeled his off-season and in-season training, eating, conditioning after Tony. He said if I'm able to have half the career he's had, it'll be a successful one.
We certainly congratulate Tony Gonzalez. Looking for Benjamin Watson down the sideline. It's incomplete run, I know, from both of us to Tony Gonzalez. Congratulations, a man who not only has been the very best at his position all time in the NFL, but Boy, has he carried himself beautifully as a man off the field as well.
I got to be around a pretty good tight end in himself, and Ozzie Newsome all those years in Baltimore, and the admiration he had for Tony Gonzalez in terms of just the sheer longevity to play at the level that he did. Jimmy Graham is right in emulating a guy like that. Another former basketball player, no wonder he leaned towards Tony Gonzalez, said, you know what, I'm going to listen to that guy because he took the same path I did.
Third down and 10. Breeze steps up once more. Looks for the home run ball, and they got it. A touchdown to Robert Meacham. Beat Darrelle Revis in the corner of the end zone. And Drew Brees on that pass has just eclipsed 5,000 passing yards for the fourth time.
And this is just, watch the concentration of Robert Meacham. I mean, Revis is kind of all over it. He's got to track that ball. It falls low and behind him. That's a tremendous catch by Robert Meacham, and a lot of trust on Drew Brees' part that the receiver can come up with that.
Meacham, a former #1 draft pick. They turned loose and brought back this season.
Well, obviously they're reviewing this. You can see the numbers here for Drew Brees, but up above it sounds like they are looking to make sure. I'm not quite sure what they're checking. He clearly had control of the ball. But the 5,000-yard seasons, we're going to start to see more of these, make no mistakes. But when you look at the list of guys of the 5,000 plus, this is a who's who. You're talking about Drew Brees, who's on this now for the fourth time, Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, Dan Marino. That's why you can see this guy's clearly going to be a future Hall of Famer, a first ballot Hall of Famer. Puts up kind of a jump ball here. We're going to see what Meacham, he just kind of waiting for it and, you know, kind of catch an infield fly. Yeah, it looks like he had possession. They may be checking to make sure that he had possession all the way through. Clearly the feet are in bounds. He has possession there. Does he maintain it through the process? At any point, does he lose it on the ground? Well, I don't see it there. That looks like a touchdown to me. Just another angle on Darrelle Revis, just kind of getting caught out of position. He's clearly in bounds. The key is, does the ball move at all? It's okay if it hits the ground if he has control of it. I don't see where he ever lost control of it.
You know, you were talking about the 5,000-yard seasons, and to think there have only been 8, including this one here today, and that Brees owns 4 of the 8. You mentioned the other 3 of the other 4. Manning, Brady.
After review, the ruling on the field is confirmed. Touchdown.
Marino and Matthew Stafford.
Yeah, Matthew Stafford has been impressive in what he's done, but by the sheer numbers of throws. And you got to have the winning come with it.
Sure.
All those other guys had a whole lot of winning with those 5,000 yards. Matthew Stafford has yet to do that on a consistent basis.
To make it 21-7, Graham does so right through the uprights. Brees 3 touchdown passes here in the opening half. And a 2-touchdown lead.
Today's game is sponsored by Lowe's. Lowe's, never stop improving.
Well, this place is rocking. And when you have this kind of offense to watch here at home, why wouldn't it be? Now 24 consecutive games of scoring 21 points or more in this building. That is a new NFL record. And Brian, as we look forward into the second half, certainly start to talk about and break down a little bit the enormous disparity between this Saints team, especially on offense, as opposed to the one that goes on the road.
Well, I think the 2 biggest things for the Saints on the road, one is running the ball. We alluded to that. And in the red zone, they've been uncharacteristically unproductive in the red zone. Here you can see the home and road record, and obviously stark difference there, not only in the record, the points, the turnover margin is huge, but I think it's the ability to run the ball and the red zone offense that's been the biggest difference in the Saint team from years past.
Bobby Rainey leaps over the pile, a gain of 5 up to the 25-yard line.
When Drew Brees, you always look at the brilliance of what he does, and he is so adroit in the pocket of moving around. Look how he just stays active, always in a position to throw the ball. I always used to get on our scouts saying, well, we don't want a quarterback with happy feet. What's the difference between being good in the pocket, moving around, and happy feet? But Drew Brees, particularly at that size, he keeps himself alive and always in a throwing posture.
Second down and 5. They roll Glennon out. And coming back to make the catch, good enough for a first down, is Vincent Jackson, and we throw it out to Los Angeles to Kurt Menefee.
Where the Chargers have tied it up with Kansas City, Phillip Rivers looking up with Antonio Gates' 4-yard score. All even at 14. San Diego wins. They're in the playoffs. San Diego lost, and Pittsburgh grabs that last spot in the AFC. Tom, Brian, and Laura.
That right now might be the most single staggering note of what could happen
the
today.
Pittsburgh Steelers. How about that?
To think the Steelers had to win their game and 3 other teams had to lose. 2 of those 3 have lost. They give it to the tight end, Tim Wright. Pretty good pickup there on first down. Run out of bounds. Let's see where they spot the ball. Apparently they shoved him out of bounds far short of where we thought it was.
Well, if Tampa Bay has got any more trickery in their bag, Mike Sullivan needs to pull it out now. You know, they scored their first score on a pitchback pass because this game could get out of control real quick if they don't get something on this drive and give the ball back to Drew Brees and that potent offense.
Well, that turned into a 2-yard gain. They put it in the hands of Rainey, and he's got running room up to midfield and to the Saints' 49-yard line.
Well, American Idol's looking for the next superstar. Join Jennifer Lopez, Keith Urban, Harry Connick Jr., along with Ryan Seacrest as they search for the best new talent. American Idol's most exciting season yet begins Wednesday, January 15th on Fox.
I know you're ready for that.
I am. There's a few American Idols here. I think Drew Brees is an American Idol to me.
An Elvis sighting here in New Orleans. Lennon gets it away and finds Underwood underneath. And he's to the 40-yard line. That'll be a 9-yard gain on first down. Lennon had the big touchdown pass to Underwood for Tampa Bay's only score. Not a bad start for Glennon. 7 of 11. Rainey infrequently given the ball, but Underwood, the story so far with the touchdown catch. But on the move, the Buccaneers are here. Ryan Leonard nets enough for a first down to the Saints' 37-yard line.
And we haven't touched on Tampa Bay very much in their circumstance, Tom. Obviously, with Greg Schiano, questions about his status going forward, finishing the second half of the season fairly strong. And it goes hand in hand with Mike Glennon. He's wholly committed to Mike Glennon being his franchise quarterback going forward. A good outing here could help cement that feeling by the organization for them not to look for a quarterback in this year's NFL draft.
Leonard on first down, good running room, leaps over a defender and is all the way to the 12-yard line. Went right over the top of Malcolm Jenkins, who came down to try and stop him.
I always love it when you see a back do this. And I always wonder, when does it occur to a guy to do that? But you know what? I'll just go over the top of it. You dip your head. You can see right there, does Malcolm Jenkins. You can look silly if you don't keep your head up and see what you hit. That's some pretty good ups.
Wow. Former Rutgers Scarlet Knight, Ryan Leonard. They spotted at the 13. So first down there for Glennon, looking to throw, wide open. And making the catch inside the 5 is Jackson, and he's close to the 1-yard line. First and goal, Buccaneers.
Well, we said that Tampa Bay needed to do something with this drive. So far, they're responding to the challenge. Getting the ball now on the 2-yard line. doing it with a couple trick plays, couple big runs. Mike Glennon's been a factor as well.
Sean Payton is going to spend a timeout. So the Saints will have one more left. Of course, they have plenty of time for his offense should Tampa Bay score and score quickly with 3:27 to play until halftime.
Well, he's just trying to regroup here a little bit for Rob Ryan, trying to give him a minute to try to catch his breath. Whatever they're not doing this last drive, Rob Ryan's got to figure out what's going on, because this last drive, Tampa Bay, other than the big play, with the pitchback pass, hasn't been able to manufacture much. And now this drive has just methodically gone down the field. Rob Ryan, obviously defensively, has done a heck of a job with a lot of players missing from the way it started out on the season. But they need to regroup right here on the goal line, see if they can force Tampa Bay into a field goal try with a 1st and goal on the 2-yard line.
They're going to throw it back to the end zone, and a touchdown to Tim Wright. What a drive for the Buccaneers. Had some big runs on the drive by Rainey and by Leonard, and they cap it off with a touchdown pass to Wright, his 5th in his rookie year. Tell you, with all the talk about Jimmy Graham, you know, it should be noted this Tim Wright now has a chance today to have the most receptions by a rookie tight end of any tight end that has come into the league in the last 10 years.
And another one of those undrafted rookies that you talked about earlier about, Tom.
Point after is good. Leonard up and over the top of Jenkins helps lead to the touchdown. Tampa Bay within 7. Here's a very impressive note. Mike Glennon, the 8th time this season he's thrown 2 touchdowns or more in a game, and that ties an NFL record.
That's an impressive group to be with, not the least of which Charlie Connolly, 1948. No, I did not coach him. Mr. Brennan.
Are you sure you just don't remember his name?
that could be true.
We'd love to welcome the men and women in uniform serving around the world, watching today's broadcast in 175 countries, aboard ships at sea on AFN, the American Forces Network. Thank you for all you do. I know for all of you, you're away from your family and friends during this Christmas season. God bless you all. And have a happy New Year. And a safe New Year. Going to work with almost 3.5 minutes to play. 1 timeout left plus a 2-minute warning.
Drew Brees here at his best with the 3 verticals to Moore for the first touchdown. Finds Jimmy Graham down inside the red zone. Comes back, hits this kind of a fair ball shot to Meacham on the outside. He's going to do it all the way, and he's hit 7 different receivers already in this game. 3 different guys for touchdowns.
2nd down and 6, and that'll be enough for a first down, finding Graham up to the 32-yard line. As Buccaneers are saying no catch, and they're right. They're going to wave it off. That is not a completed pass. So now all of a sudden, the Buccaneers with all 3 timeouts left. Well, they may challenge this.
Yeah, that was one, and we're outside of 2 minutes, so it's going to take a challenge by Sean Payton. He's deciding right now. Yep, here it comes. I'd have been a little more aggressive with that. I might have thrown it right at the official. He's saying right there, I think the hand's cupped underneath. Based on the shot we just saw, I think Graham did maintain control with his hand underneath the ball.
The ruling on the field of an incomplete pass. We'll review the play. Timeout.
See, that's the old days of Sean Payton, the basketball player. Point guard on the break, just shuffling off.
Well, the ruling on the field was incomplete pass. And here it looks like Jimmy Graham has his wrist and hand underneath the ball. At no point do I see the ball hit the ground. So if they're looking for conclusive evidence that indeed it did, I don't see it. I think this is a catch. See, from that view, his hand is clearly underneath it.
After review, the ruling on the field stands. Incomplete pass, 3rd down, New Orleans is charged with their third and final charge timeout.
Well, I stand overruled. And there again, they're looking for a view, and that's a tough one. It's kind of like a double negative. Well, I ruled it incomplete. Did I see anything to make me think I was wrong? I didn't see any view that said the ball ever touched the ground. Not the first time I've been wrong.
Well, you've gotten most of these right this season. Of course, that's thanks in large part to our camera crew.
Do a great job.
We're not going to get carried away now.
Where were they when I needed them when I was coaching?
Well, last time I checked, you're still wearing that Super Bowl ring, am I right?
Yeah, I am that. They haven't taken it back yet.
Third down and 6. Wide open is Kenny Stills, and he will race to the end zone.
Well, this is as simple as it gets. Kenny Stills right down the field. You can see it right now. They're discussing it. I think Jonathan Banks dropped coverage. They were looking at one another saying, weren't you supposed to be deep? No, you were supposed to be deep. He's out into here, and now you're just going to, he just runs straight down the field. And Jonathan Banks looks out of control right there. Looks like he was looking as to where he was supposed to be. It's about as easy a touchdown throw as Drew Brees has had.
76-yard touchdown throw to Stills. Still 2:40 to play at the half. And Tampa Bay has all 3 timeouts remaining. 4th touchdown pass of the game for Brees.
And that's one of those, please let me just get in his hands. This is as tough a throw as Drew Brees has to make because he's so wide open. The last thing you want to do is over or under throw it to a guy that's that wide open. There's not a guy in the frame. That's how much of a broken coverage that is for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
It's a 25th game in Brees' career where he's thrown 4 touchdowns or more. That is second most all time to Peyton Manning, who has 29. That's an early Happy New Year for that lady after getting that football. Now she can do some dancing. They like to cut it loose here after touchdown.
What do they call this? The croc? This is pretty good. Oh, I stand corrected there. The croc. Okay. I don't have the right lingo.
Well, that was a huge story here in New Orleans this year. They've been playing this song, The Crunk, after they score touchdowns here seemingly forever, and they score a lot of touchdowns here. And the Saints have decided not to play the song anymore this season. Page breaks it out to the 21-yard line, and fans were so upset they convinced the organization to change its mind. How about that?
She just got a late Christmas. Look how excited she is about having that.
Oh, bless her heart.
That is great. Always see him handing out to little kids. He found them a grandma in the States. That's great.
She might have been the one who started the uprising of bringing back the crunk. Plenty of time now for Tampa Bay. All 3 timeouts plus a 2-minute warning. They'll start running the football, which they did effectively on their last drive. Curtis Lofton dropping Leonard, and we drop it off to Joel Klatt in Los Angeles.
All right, Tom, let's go to Arizona. I am not dancing, although people in New Orleans are probably dancing after that last touchdown. But Jake Ballard in Arizona keeping this one close. 1-yard TD catch from Carson Palmer. His second of the season. 17-7 49ers in that one, Tom and Brian.
What's a nice story, Jake Ballard. Many remember him with the Giants, had the excellent rookie year, non-drafted guy, and then he had knee injuries the last 2 years. We're the 2-minute warning. Saints in front 28-14. The New Orleans Saints trying to win, which would have them playing football next weekend in the opening round of the NFC playoffs. 28-14 lead. Tampa Bay with the ball, 2nd and 8. And Glennon flushed out of the pocket, throws. With an eye on Jackson, it brings up 3rd down and 8.
And New Orleans may get another chance at the ball here in the half. They can get Tampa Bay to not convert on this 3rd down. Drew Brees already shown what he can do in a very short amount of time. No timeouts, but Drew Brees doesn't need that. Give him just enough time. He can still kill you.
2 out of 4 so far today. That is a major step forward for the Buccaneers in that category. Running, dropped to the 23-yard line, and a flag comes in late.
Personal foul, unnecessary roughness, number 75 defense for a late hit on a down player. 15-yard penalty, automatic first down.
Silly penalty there by Tyron Walker.
It was. They're going to bring Roman Harper from depth on a late scrape that he gets home on Mike Glennon. They've got him off the field. You're going to let Drew Brees have another shot at this. I'm going to see exactly what they're calling right here. Right there, just late, boy. That's regrettable. They were about to give that, and Sean Payton knows it. Boy, I was just about to get the ball back in the hands of my offense, and now I'm giving them another set of downs.
With a penalty, move it up to the 32-yard line, and 1st down for Glennon. Buccaneers with all 3 timeouts, and it's knocked down at the line of scrimmage. Let's check in once more with Joel Klatt back in Los Angeles.
Tom, let's go to Chicago. Win and go home for the NFC North. Aaron Rodgers looks like he's sacked by Julius Peppers there, right? But Jared Boykin picks the ball up, and wait for it, that's a live ball. Now he takes off for the end zone. He scores 10-7 Packers. The Packers have the ball back. It's 1st and goal inside the 10 in Chicago. Crazy game.
How about that?
That's hard to design that play that way.
Jackson was looking for another penalty flag, and it finally comes in late. Keenan Lewis, the New Orleans native, in his 1st year after leaving the Steelers, can't believe it.
And I'm not sure Jackson even knew the ball was coming his way.
Pass interference, number 28 defense, automatic first down.
2 big penalties against the Saints on this drive.
Jackson comes inside right now, figures, well, yeah, he got turned around that way. Rode him right from the get-go. That's tough on Lewis. He had a good, clean jam inside or underneath the 5-yard margin.
They picked up 20 yards in penalties, a little more than 20 yards in penalties, to keep this drive alive, and it's very much alive. At the 43 with a minute 40 to go, Glennon steps up, and a catch is made very close to another 1st down by Wright. Clock continues to go. A minute 30 to play until halftime. It is a 1st down.
And they've got all 3 timeouts. I'm not quite sure what they're saving them for.
Another open receiver is Underwood, and that is another 1st down. The Buccaneers will use one of those timeouts here. $1:10 away from the Visa halftime. How about it, Kurt Menefee?
Coming up on the Visa halftime, it's a busy final day of the regular season. In the NFC, 2 divisions, the final playoff spot, and home field advantage all still up for grabs. And the Chargers or Steelers could clinch that final spot in the AFC. We'll sort it all out for you at the Visa halftime.
Alshon Jeffrey has just fumbled the football at his own 41-yard line. 11 seconds remain in the 1st half, and the Green Bay Packers have the ball on the Chicago 9-yard line. Had to get rid of it quickly, and does so to Wright. And he's to the 25-yard line, and another Tampa Bay timeout. No, they're going to hurry up to the line of scrimmage. Looked like Wright had started to break it down a little bit, expecting a timeout, and it continues to run, now down to 50 seconds.
Mike Glennon's got to pick this pace up a little bit or use one of those timeouts.
into traffic and broken up by Lofton. 40 seconds remain.
And with the 2 timeouts in their back pocket now, Greg Schiano and this offense can use just about anything they have in the playbook. They can go ahead and hand it off should they choose to on a 2nd and long. Not a bad move with the timeout in your back pocket. Throw the ball in the middle should they choose to. They're in field goal position, so the last thing they want to do is get knocked out of scoring position to ensure at least the 3 points at the end of this drive.
And Glennon just throws it away. Under heavy pressure by Jordan. He leads his team with 12.5 sacks on the season. So much to talk about coming up on the Visa halftime. It's like nobody wants to get in that final slot in the AFC playoff picture. Baltimore, the defending Super Bowl champions, eliminated today. Cincinnati's Paul Brown Stadium turf.
You think the Packer or the Steelers have even left the locker room yet? They're all sitting right in that locker room waiting to see what's going to happen with this San Diego game.
Play clock down to 3, and they'll have to burn a timeout. 1 left now. Peyton Manning continues to shatter the NFL record books. Single season passing yards record formerly held by that man Drew Brees. Peyton Manning, what an absolutely extraordinary season he has had.
They began with that 7-touchdown performance to start the season against the reigning champ Baltimore Ravens. He's finishing off with style, no question about it.
So passing yards and passing touchdowns. League record set by Manning this year. 3rd and 10. Glennon looking for Underwood. Did he come down with a football? He's out of bounds. Well, he nearly found a way to sneak in.
What a spectacular catch, though. They ought to give him style points anyway.
Well, he gets out with a hairdo.
I don't know about that. Watch this athletic. Up and behind the ultimate back shoulder. Got the left foot down. Just couldn't bring that right foot down. That's a heck of an athletic move.
So look at this alignment. What in the world is this? They're going to think it. That's Kane and the punter.
Oh, my goodness.
Well, when you won 4 games the entire year, you'll take some chances. Dave Watts down the special teams coordinator for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
This is, I wouldn't even begin to try to label this, but you can see they've just set up on the right here. If they don't get the look they want, they'll shift back into it in a normal alignment. I don't know what they thought they saw would think this would work, but it didn't. But remember, Laura Oakman told us in her report earlier, Curtis Lofton told us they were ready for everything. They knew they were going to pull out all the stops in any situation. Dave Wannstedt, the special teams coach, trying to manufacture something for this Tampa Bay Buccaneer team.
Halfway through it, Drew Brees has already thrown for 321 yards. 6 times he has done that in a half of a game. 2 of the 6 against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Saints 28, Buccaneers 14. Fox NFL Sunday continues with the Visa halftime report. Follow your favorite team all season long. Go to iTunes.com/NFL. We'd like to say thanks to our entire crew. What a marvelous job they have done this entire year. And the ringleader of this operation, Mr. Bob Stenner. All right, Coach Billick, put on that hat for a minute.
Well, New Orleans needs to find its running game. It's only got 28 yards on the game, not only for now, but going forward. Tampa Bay keep digging in that bag of tricks because they're going to need some big plays down the field. And New Orleans clearly wants to finish this game in a strong momentum going forward if indeed they can win it into the playoffs.
Still a little perplexing, the end of that last Tampa Bay drive. I mean, we brought it up. You know, you've won 4 games and you're not going to the postseason. Many believe Greg Schiano is fighting for his job for a 3rd year as Tampa Bay's head coach, but I'm not saying it's automatic you're going to hit a 35-yard field goal, but a pretty safe bet.
Yeah, they're just trying to make something happen. You know, trying to trade touchdowns for field goals because that's what it's going to take to keep up with New Orleans up now by 14 points. They're going to have a chance on this drive, particularly them coming out of that. And they held on to 3 points, drive the length of the field as they did the drive before. Now all of a sudden you're pulling this thing into a 1-score game.
Pretty good first half from Mike Glennon. He hit on 13 out of 22, a couple of touchdowns. Let's check in with Laura Oakman.
Tom, I asked Greg Schiano, what do you have to do to keep up with this offense? He said, we have to stop them on defense. I said, how do you plan on doing that? He said, by telling his guys, just do your job, make it as small or big as that. I asked him if we were going to continue to see all this trickery in the second half. He said, we have a full game plan. We are going to continue to use it. Sean Payton said none of that has surprised him. It is a desperate team. We knew they'd be dangerous.
First down, Rainey, and picks up 1 yard. Mentioned the numbers for Glennon. The 2 touchdown passes and 133 passing yards.
And these are typical of what Mike Glennon has been all year long. Very solid. Started out real strong as he came in as the starter. Had a little bit of dip into the season, but he's been very solid. His touchdown to interception ratio, good solid completions. Needs to be better on 3rd down. You've mentioned it a couple times today, Tom. They've got to be much better on 3rd down.
Glennon delivers wide open as Vincent Jackson. He's up to the 39. That is a first down for Tampa Bay. Well, the game last week, the offense had a total of 170 yards. I beg your pardon, a flag down.
Holding, number 72 offense. 10-yard penalty, 2nd down.
That's Gabe Karimi, former #1 pick out of Wisconsin by the Bears.
And Mike Glennon, you know, Phil Simms tells a story that Bill Parcells told him one time. You know what? If you don't throw 2 interceptions today, you're just not trying. And basically, no one's throwing an interception, but he was basically saying, you got to take some chances today. You can't play it safe. And that's what we got to see out of Mike Glennon, particularly the second half. I don't want to throw interceptions, but you got to take some chances here if you want to keep your team in this game.
That's a big hit, that penalty. It's 2nd down at 19, and that'll be a gain of close to 5 by Rainey. So it brings up 3rd down and long after they had converted on that last pass play. Laura Oakman.
Tom, I just want to finish with Sean Payton at halftime. He said about how the trickery didn't surprise him, neither as his defense he's been facing from the Bucs. He said we expected the blitzes, the pressures. That's why we've been able to get these big plays. He said we're going to continue trying to mix in the run and the passing. Asked him what he would like for his birthday. Did he say? He said, boy, I would like to finish the second half with a win.
For those of you that missed it, Sean Payton celebrates his 50th birthday today. What a route that was, and beautifully thrown to Tim Wright for a first down, close to where the catch was made by Jackson a few short moments ago.
And this is the type of throw I'm talking about. Mike Glennon had to throw it to a spot, have faith that his tight end, Wright, was going to get to that spot. It's those types of throws that Mike Glennon needs to continue to make and trust his receivers to come up with the ball.
Wright's had a good day. 5 catches, 58 yards, and a touchdown. Rainey trying to cut it back to the inside. Up to the 42.
And this drive beginning to look like a drive to finish the second half where they drove the length of the field. Again, if they can keep this balance, continue to take those shots down the field. Vincent Jackson's been a little bit quiet here since early on in the game. Be time for him maybe to show up as well.
Jackson 3 catches for just 29 yards. bounces off a couple of tacklers and is very close to a first down. Just short, it appears, up to the 48-yard line. Needed to get to the 49. What an amazing, really 9 months it's been for Bobby Rainey. College free agent out of Western Kentucky a year ago with Baltimore. On the practice squad, the IR started this year with Cleveland. Played in 6 games. Tampa Bay signed him off the waiver wire. His 3rd game with them after Martin had gone down, Mike James had gone down, had the game-winning touchdown against Miami, their first win of the year. We're going to have to spend a time out here with the play clock nearly expiring. And Rainey's had a couple of games where he ran for over 100 yards already. Now, don't make any jokes tying me in with this crowd, all right? I know where you're going.
I wouldn't think of throwing you in with this crowd. But again, there's a role for everybody in this game, and these are examples of guys that have defined roles for what they're doing. Darren Sproles has already had a couple big catches on this game. Ray Rice, we've seen, although all but injured, has been a huge part of the Baltimore Ravens attack. And Bobby Rainey, let's remember that it took a while for him to get into that lineup play you talked about. All those injuries, all you need is that opportunity. The role players that these smaller players are going to have, and Darren Sproles anxious to get back in the game.
3rd down and a yard. Flag down. Glennon kept it. Don't know if he got enough for a first down.
Ball start, number 81, offense. 5-yard penalty, remains 3rd down.
3rd and 1 becomes 3rd down and 6.
And right now, Greg Schiano's going, yeah, this is the story of our season right here. You're just going to see that little movement on the right side by DeMar Dotson. When you're 4 and 11, that's what happens. You turn a 3rd and inches into now a 3rd and 5.
3rd most overall penalties, the 3rd most per game, and the 3rd most penalty yards. Buccaneers began this season 0-8. They won 4 their last 7 on a 3rd down here. Catch made by Leonard, and he is leveled by Keenan Lewis. Lofton in coverage. Does Greg Schiano think about going for it here on 4th down, close to midfield with his team down 2 touchdowns?
Yeah, they are. They're leaving that offense in. They seem a little confused about it. Mike Glennon stayed on the field. The offense began to run off and then ran back on. This does not bode well right now with them being uncertain about what they're doing. Clock's winding down. They got plenty of time to get this off. They had to reset the clock.
So on 4th down, what a throw by Glennon into the sure hands of Vincent Jackson, and that's a first down.
I said Vincent Jackson needed to show up, and he did in the big time here. He knew exactly where he was going. Mike Glennon's got that big windup, but he's a very accurate quarterback. That height you can see. He can see above the on-rushing lineman. That's a huge advantage for the 6'7" Mike Glennon.
So they convert on 4th down. And now first down in Saints territory, and Rainey wrapped up behind the line of scrimmage, and that's Glenn Foster, the rookie out of Illinois, bursting through to make the stop. That's another college free agent. Speaking of college football, the AT&T Cotton Bowl coming your way Friday night from Arlington, Texas. Lennon, great protection. And a good throw to Underwood. That's caught now to the 33-yard line, and that'll be another Tampa Bay first down. They have protected Glennon beautifully here today.
Very, very well. They bring some pressure on the outside with the late stunt. The pocket holds up. Mike Glennon throwing to the outside again, trusting his receiver. In this instance, Tyquan Underwood being where he's supposed to be when he's supposed to be there.
It's a 19-yard gain. Underwood closing in on his second 100-yard receiving game of the year. The other came against the Lions. Wanted to put it up again, and again all day to throw. Loring chopped down at the 30. That'll be a gain of 2. Let's check in back in Los Angeles with Joel Klatt.
All right, Tom, let's head up to Chicago for all the marbles in the NFC North. First drive of the second half. Chicago right down the field. Matt Forte takes it in from 5 yards out. 1-point lead, 14-13 Bears. Tom and Brian.
All right, Joel, thank you very much, sir. Numbers on that game so far, if you're wondering, Jake Cutler under the microscope. 6 of 11 so far is Cutler. And Rainey escapes one tackle, but can't wiggle out of another in the arms of Paris Harrelson. It brings up third down.
Finding themselves in these third and longs have been the nemesis for Tampa Bay all year long, but they've actually done a fairly nice job today with some of these longer third downs. But now they're right on the edge of field goal position. He needs to go quite a ways for the first down or buy just a few more yards, maybe underneath, to buy better field goal.
Well, play the drive. Third down and 11. Saints showing blitz, and here they come. And Glennon throwing to the end zone. Jump ball. And knocked away by Keenan Lewis in coverage of Vincent Jackson. Well, they went fourth down and 6. Well, now we have a flag right at the line of scrimmage. Was thrown over on the far side of the field.
Personal foul, face mask, number 62 offense. 15-yard penalty. Repeat third down.
It's Ted Larson.
Left guard Ted Larson and gets his hands up into the, well, no, this is the shot down the field, excuse me, on the matchup on Vincent Jackson. The big Jackson, not necessarily a big leaper. Excellent play by Keenan Lewis, excuse me, down the field. Interesting that rather than have them get a fourth down, they took the penalty to back it up to move them out of field goal position, giving them another chance down the field.
So a third down and 26, and now the Saints want a timeout. There appeared to be a lot of confusion. 7:25 to play in the third.
Today's game is sponsored by Southwest Airlines. Find our fares online only at southwest.com. By the all-new 2014 Chevy Silverado. Strong for all the roads ahead. By Sprint. And by Pepsi. Live for now.
Welcome back to New Orleans. A third down and 26 for the Buccaneers after the Saints had to take a timeout. Lennon lays it off for Loring. And it's Michael Hill, the rookie, who makes a reception, I beg your pardon, and he's down to the 36.
Going into timeout, Sean Payton was giving Rob Ryan an earful. Rob Ryan's defense has had a tough time matching up with some of the personnel groupings. Now remember, they're without Kenny Vaccaro, their excellent safety that's injured. And so you can see right here, they're trying to sort out, wait, who's in, who's out, who's got what. Rob Ryan just trying to be the ringmaster here, and Sean Payton had no part of it.
So be a 54-yard field goal attempt for Ryan Lindell, who twice this year has hit from 53 yards. Well, he nailed that thing. That'd have been good from 63. You start to wonder as we move forward, that fake on fourth down, the end of the first half. Aaron Rodgers, a 7-yard touchdown strike to Randall Cobb. That was another huge activated player, along with a healthy Aaron Rodgers for Green Bay today. And the Pack with a 20-14 lead. San Francisco went for it inside the Arizona 10-yard line on fourth down and failed. So the Cardinals have the ball, still very much in it, down by 10 in the third quarter. Here the Saints in front, 28-17. And Darren Sproles with a penalty flag on the field gets up to the 25.
during the return holding. Number 54 of the return team, half the distance to the goal. First down, New Orleans. Timeout.
So the first possession of the second half for Breeze and the Saints with a playoff berth on the line. Drew Brees getting the football for the first time in the second half, has already thrown for over 300 yards in a game, and going back to when he left San Diego and joined the Saints, 71 now 300-yard passing games for Brees. Tampa Bay is a team with 13 of them.
Used to be the 300-yard game means you were losing and trying to catch up. Not anymore.
Penalty backs him all the way up to the 7-yard line, and Breeze on first down gives him some wiggle room. Catch made by Marcus Colston. Never be without football. Good coverage of every NFL game on NFL Mobile. Call Star NFL to download right now.
Well, this is an important drive for the offense because we just saw the Tampa Bay have a good long drive. It only ended in a field goal, certainly. But now the offense has to respond. They've been brilliant all day long, but they don't want to let this Tampa Bay defense get too close to them. They need to at least take some time off the clock, let alone score.
First down, they run it. Pierre Thomas up to the 24. It'll be a gain of 3.
And we talked about Drew Brees and the routine he does before the game. During the game, he's equally as active in terms of keeping himself warm. Just the routine. He's very much a creature of habit. The really great ones, when you be a Tom Brady, an Aaron Rodgers, a Peyton Manning, they all have a certain routine, very regimented, very disciplined in what they do.
A Tampa Bay drive chewed up almost 8.5 minutes. Well, here we are closing in on the 5-minute mark of the third quarter. Saints win. They're in the playoffs. In the air. And nearly intercepted. Don't forget the first time these two teams played, Mason Foster returned an interception, 85 yards for a touchdown. Let's check in with Joel Klatt in Los Angeles.
All right, Tom, back and forth they go in Chicago. Jay Cutler steps up in the pocket, and he finds a wide open Alshon Jeffrey for 67 yards down at the 1-yard line. The next play, Matt Forte punches it in. Chicago with the 1-point lead. It's 21-20 with 5 left to go in the third. Back to New Orleans, Tom and Brian.
Well, that's a big league game. Bears and Packers at Chicago's Soldier Field.
How big has Alshon Jeffrey come up in the second half of this season for the Bears?
Wide open is Marcus Colston, and that's the Saints' first down.
You see Colston come in motion again. We talked about how that's a coverage indicator for Drew Brees. That's 2 corner routes. He's gone to Colston, and just this drive alone, they're finding something on the outside, something about the defense of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to say these outside routes are there.
Brees 358 passing yards.
20 towards that.
They pitch it to the rookie Kyrie Robinson. Foot race to turn the corner. And he's all the way inside the 30, close to the 25-yard line. Robinson, another one of those college free agents, was not drafted, had a great preseason. He's out of West Texas A&M.
Watch Colston on the edge here, crashing down. Does a pretty good job, but takes just enough of a step inside. Gets beat on the outside. Nice job. Does he stay in bounds? Yes, he clearly avoids stepping on the sideline. I can't see that step right there. Don't know if that's something they want to challenge, and I certainly couldn't see there whether he stepped on the out-of-bounds line.
Ready, my shot.
They give a snap off. Brees puts it in the hands of Colston once more. Tackled at the 20. Tonight at 11. Head over to America's new 24-hour sports network, Fox Sports 1, where you'll see Jay and Dan on FS Live, the new sports news and highlight show. FS Live, 11 o'clock on America's new 24-hour sports network, Fox Sports 1. The Canadian duo of Jay and Dan.
Lady, what's that?
2nd and 4. Breeze. Catch made, and diving forward to the 11-yard line is Josh Hill, third tight end. Doesn't get a lot of playing time behind Graham and Watson.
Well, this is what Drew Brees is about. He knows if he could just wait out long enough. Look at his feet and his posture. As I said earlier, he constantly leaves himself in a throwing posture that when a receiver presents himself at just the right time, he's in position to deliver an accurate pass.
That is the 9th different receiver to catch a Drew Brees pass in this game. Pump fake. Incomplete.
Tom, we talked earlier about as good as this New Orleans offense has been, a couple areas where they have struggled, one being here in the red zone. In 2012, they led the league in touchdown efficiency when they got into the red zone. This year, they're 11th in the league. They've gone from 63% to 48% and have struggled on a couple field goals, hence the change at the field goal kicker. So this red zone, I mean, this offense is brilliant up and down the field, but it's the red zone that has made the difference for them thus far this year.
Yellow lady, easy. You kill. Like 5-4. Ready. You ready, my son?
Is that a catch made by Pierre Thomas? Thrown very low down by his feet. If it is, that'll be a 10th different Saint to catch a pass in this game. They've had 12 different offensive players outside of Brees that have touched the ball.
Well, we talked about the constant rotation of personnel. They may have 4 and 5 different 2-back or 21 alignment you hear referred to in just one game. They may have 3 and 4 different 2-tight personnel groupings. Their groupings within groupings is like no other team in the league.
Yellow lady, ready. Number 90, left side.
Put it down at 7 and they hand it off. And leaping into the end zone, it's Pierre Thomas for a Saints touchdown.
Great call by Sean Payton. Who'd have thought with Drew Brees that on 3rd and long you'd have handed the ball off? The number count was right. Great blocking down the field. Kenny Stills right there, locking up, allowing Thomas to get into the end zone. Great call, great execution.
Well, that really is great. Everybody and his brother thinking you're going to throw, you spread them out. I'm not sure Thomas was touched. Point after is good. First possession, second half, picked up where they left off in the first half. 10 plays, 92 yards, a touchdown, chewing up better than 5 minutes. And a little more than a quarter away are these New Orleans Saints from becoming the final entrant to the NFC playoffs. Meaning the final seed. There is one more game to be played tonight. But it would be the final seed, the 6th seed. So you wonder, can San Diego come back? Because right now the Pittsburgh Steelers are a quarter away from getting in the playoffs.
That's and going into it, you talk about the scenario, what would it take for Pittsburgh to get in? Baltimore had to lose, San Diego had to lose, Miami had to lose. You know what? It's happening. This is quite a lead.
Kansas City with a 10-point lead, and it's intercepted by Keenan Lewis. First interception thrown by either quarterback today. The 4th of the year. That's the most for the Saints. For the New Orleans native, Keenan Lewis.
Well, you're going to see on the outside, Vincent Jackson kind of throttles down, and just at the last minute, Paris Harrelson comes cranking down on Mike Glennon. I don't think he really saw what he was thrown into as Lewis stepped into the side and in front of Vincent Jackson. That's a tough sequence of events for Mike Glennon and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Great pressure on the outside. Great play by Lewis, keeping his eye on the ball. This is usually an area I'd be surprised if Drew Brees didn't take a quick shot to the end zone here. Maybe they want to run the ball and show that they can do that. But this would be classically an area where Drew Brees might want to take a shot. The formation says they're going to run it.
Ready. Ready, what's up?
And they do run it. Kyrie Robinson spun down at the 14-yard line. We saw a lot of this guy in the preseason. You say, well, preseason, big deal. Man, he caught your eye in a hurry now. And, you know, in limited playing time in this very crowded Saints backfield, and that seems to be the story year after year. Still rushed for, well, now closing in on 200 yards and very limited playing time.
In this backfield, boy, you're talking about an embarrassment of riches. Ingram, Thomas, you throw in Sproles in a different capacity. And Robinson as well. This is a solid backfield that New Orleans has to deal with.
You have 5 different running backs in the game with a carry. And what, 10 different receivers Drew Brees has hit? How about that?
And this is what I'm talking about just in their 2-back alignment. They can have 4 and 5 different scenarios by different backs in terms of who they put together.
Final seconds of this third quarter. 35-17, New Orleans in front. 15 minutes away from playing in the wild card round next weekend. Fox NFL Sunday continues after a break from your local Fox station. Set to begin the fourth quarter here in New Orleans. 35-17, the Saints in front. When this day began, the Saints still had a shot at a number 2 seed overall in the NFC. Had a chance for a divisional championship. Carolina took care of their business, winning the NFC South by narrowly defeating the Atlanta Falcons. Brees finding Graham. Remember now, Graham is 1 touchdown shy of tying Rob Gronkowski's all-time single-season record for touchdowns by a tight end. He got his 16th in the first half. The next one would tie the record. Are you thinking about that on the sideline as a coach at all?
Well, you know what? As a normal part of the sequencing down here, sure you do. And you've designed it all week for that. You're not making that the priority, but I guarantee you, looking for Jimmy Graham in the end zone right now is part of your basic play calling sequence. So, yes, I am thinking about it.
But you're never thinking about it in terms of just a player and a record?
Oh, sure you are. You want to support the record's ambitions to wanting to tie or break these records.
He's going to run it. Touchdown. I'll tell you what, they say Brees is only 6 feet tall. I'm not even sure about that. But he's got some pretty good hops here.
And they've got so many combinations you have to account for. You have to double in so many ways. You leave no one underneath. Gerald McCoy took a pass rush on the outside. Here you can see they've got 3 over 2. They're aware of Jimmy Graham and wanted to go to the ball. They left no one to recognize that the quarterback can pull this thing down and score with it.
Point after is good.
Today's game on Fox is sponsored by Nationwide Insurance. Nationwide is on your side. By Bud Light, official beer sponsor of the NFL. And by Taco Bell. Sometimes you gotta live Moss.
Party starting early.
I don't know if it ever stops.
That's a very good point.
I'm not
Especially for a lot of members of our crew on this weekend. Why not? Final one. Why everybody having to stay in town late game tonight?
Change the names to protect the innocent.
First down for Glenn and the Buccaneers. Down 42-17. We still have nearly an entire quarter to play. And a flag comes in late. Might be a second very silly penalty against. Was it against Larson or was it against a Saint? Trying to get up over on the sideline and still unable to do so is Glenn Foster. Hope he's all right.
After the play was over, unnecessary roughness number 62 of the offense. That penalty will be enforced half the distance to go to the goal. The down counts. Second down.
To left guard Ted Larson. He has been playing for the former Saint and the All-Pro Harv Nick, who, you know, all year long, you look at his Tampa Bay season, and you know, during training camp when they had the staph infection situation and the MRSA situation to address, the Josh Freeman saga, being late for missing a team photo, being late for a team bus. After 3 games, they said enough is enough, eventually letting him go. Through all the injuries, lose your first 8 games of the season. A splendid hit as he threw, and it's incomplete.
Roughing the passer, number 76, defense for contact to the quarterback's helmet. 15-yard penalty, automatic first down.
That's Akeem Hicks. It's been a tough year in Tampa Bay.
Here you can see Hicks just laid into it. Well, I didn't see whether it was late or whether it was hit to the helmet. That's the only view we've got of it. So coach has talked a great deal about Hicks and how the improvement he's made to go along with Cameron Jordan on the inside.
Underwood, about a yard short of the first down. Let's send it quickly to Joel Klatt in Los Angeles.
All right, Tom, let's go to Chicago. How about this catch from Brandon Marshall? Beautiful in the back of the end zone. It's an 8-point game. 28-20 Bears, fourth quarter, NFC North on the line.
All right, Joel, thank you. From behind the intended receiver, Owusu. Wade in coverage. Third down.
Up 42-17 for New Orleans. Sean Payton's a lot of things going through his mind, not the least of which, okay, we're going into the playoffs. There's a lot of things with a whole quarter left to play. You want to stay healthy. You don't want anybody getting hurt. You don't want this thing to get sloppy. There's going to be some frustration that shows up on the field by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. There's a lot going on that Sean Payton has to address with this team as they start their role into the playoffs.
Well, before we get out of here today, this one's not over yet. Mighty tall order for Tampa Bay to try and get back in this thing. Third down and a yard, and drop behind the line of scrimmage is Rainey to the 35. One team looks like it's going to come out. It will. You know, but we get back to this Saints team and the difference between the way they play at home and the way they play on the road. And look, no one has a crystal ball, at least no one I know. They'll be able to predict for sure what's going to happen. We've seen teams go on the road, i.e. the Green Bay Packers, and you sweep everybody up and clean everybody up. The next thing you know, you're winning the Super Bowl. Sproles waiting back on his 15-yard line, and a fair catch. But the numbers, they do not lie. I'll show you some of the ones we presented earlier. (42-17). Now we know Jimmy Graham, a converted college basketball player in Miami, but look at Breeze.
He says, I'll show you my 6 foot. You watch this. You watch me get that Jimmy Graham. I love you, man, but don't be stealing my shtick here. Thanking his offensive line for letting him score.
Saints with the football, leading 42-17. They give it to Jed Collins.
Well, This is you always look at that the drive shot at the end of the game. This isn't too bad. Of course, you look at this and all the touchdown, punt, touchdown, half, touchdown. Then you're gonna look at that as a coach and go, okay, what do we do? Do we have to punt? You always go to the okay. What can I teach off this? Because I know what happened on those other things.
Ready? What's that?
Reeves dumps it off to Collins out of the backfield. Tackled at the 18. Let's send it once more to Joel Klatt. There's a lot happening right now around the NFL.
That's right, Tom. Back to Chicago and Green Bay back at it. Eddie Lacy, he changes direction and finds the end zone, and the Packers have crawled back within one. It's 28-27, 11:38 left in the fourth in Chicago. Tom and Brian.
What a game, what a game. And also in San Diego, the Chargers were down 3. Had first and goal in the Kansas City 8. Had to settle for a game-tying field goal with 4.5 to go. San Diego wins. They go to the playoffs. They lose. They're out. And the Steelers would be in.
Drew Brees sees a missed opportunity there. They've had these shots down the top of the numbers all day long. First touchdown to Moore. The second touchdown, same way to Jimmy Graham. Thought he had it there. Didn't quite see it the same way and overthrew Graham.
Morstead gets a foot on it. Page spun down to 35. Penalty flags down all the way back at the line of scrimmage.
Holding number 41 of the kicking team. 10-yard penalty. Replay, 4th down.
Yeah, they want to make them punt this again. Maybe they can break something loose. Make that punt team run all the way back down the field again. Eric Page almost spun loose out of that last return.
So a timeout spent by the Saints.
Who's the holding on?
Tom or Sean Payton out there. He wanted to know who the holding's on. This is the type of thing I'm talking about. Finishing out the game up 42-17. You want to finish it as clean as you can.
All right, let's bring you up to speed on what's happening in the playoff picture. Seattle about to nail down the #1 seed. Carolina the 2 seed. Philadelphia, of course, in Dallas later tonight. Winner goes to the playoffs. A loser out. Chicago in a 1-point game, a 1-point lead over Green Bay for the NFC North title. San Francisco already in, and the Saints just about there.
And if this holds, this New Orleans Saint team, all but on the road, and you've already documented how tough they've had a time on the road, they're the one team that maybe could go into Philadelphia and keep up in that track meet. That would be a very interesting game if indeed that holds.
And another penalty flag thrown all the way back in front of the Saints bench at the 30-yard line. Boy, this has gotten ugly. Just try and get away a punt.
Yeah, I want to see who this one's on.
Actually, 2 flags here. One at the line of scrimmage.
During the kick, holding number 49 of the receiving team. 10-yard penalty. 1st down, Tampa Bay. Timeout.
We will take a timeout. Tampa Bay finally gets the football.
Today's game is sponsored by Ford. Only Ford gives you EcoBoost fuel economy and a whole lot more.
All Saints pretty much from the get-go. Tampa Bay hung around for the first half. had a chance to draw within one score at the end of the first half. Ran a fake field goal. I guess technically a fake punt. Kanan was the one who handled the ball. They handed off to Rainey on first down, and he gains 3. But Brian, we were talking about this New Orleans team, and you talked about, you know, should they go to Philadelphia, and that remains to be seen who they would be playing. But look, you can hang around here in New Orleans for about 48 hours, and whether or not Sean Payton is concerned about it, whether or not Drew Brees is concerned about it, and they wouldn't tell us if they were anyway. But rest assured, the fan base is very concerned about it. They started the year on the road at 2-0. They had that heartbreaking loss in New England, which started a stretch where they have only won 1 game, losing 5 since that 2-0 start. They scored 20 points or less, this offense, in 6 of the 8 road games they've played this year. They've scored 17 or less in each of the last 4. And 2 of those, you may remember, were just humiliating losses. The Saints team was embarrassed in Seattle. Of course, a lot of people get embarrassed in Seattle. But they were humiliated in St. Louis. And so, where's the real barometer of this Saints team big picture? They're one thing here at home where they haven't lost.
Well, we heard Sean Payton and Drew Brees when we talked to them about that. Quickly pull up the numbers in terms of they're one of the winningest teams over the last 5 or 6 years on the road, basically kind of buoying themselves up. Where I'm concerned as a coach, when you get on that road and that adversity hits, when you've had the road record they've had this year and that doubt creeps in the playoffs on the road, that's when it gets dangerous.
Tampa Bay going for it here on a 4th down, 4th and 8. And it's incomplete. They'll turn it over on downs. And Brian, going back to the preseason and then very much from the first play of the regular season, we've seen some of the game's great players and great plays. We start week 1 in Minnesota. Pushed offensive play for Minnesota, and naturally you hand it to Adrian Peterson. And Peterson on the first play from scrimmage will go the distance for a touchdown. Fortunately for Minnesota, back-to-back heartbreaking losses to begin the year. That one against Detroit, and then the final seconds of the game the following week in Chicago. That was a wild game.
It was, and it started from Jump Street just with that with Adrian Peterson. One we're going to see later on here in terms of a kickoff return.
Well, you had fond memories. You had such an amazing run as the offensive coordinator prior to your head coaching days in Baltimore with the Minnesota Vikings. And, of course, today the final game in the Metrodome.
I missed the Metrodome. I tell you what, as much as it was what Mike Ditka called it, the roller dome or roller derby, for an indoor stadium, it had great intimacy. You felt like the fans were right there. It's ready to be torn down. I'm with them on that. But some great memories out of that. I know the Minnesota Vikings fans will miss it. And a beautiful new home they're going to be in 2 years. The schematics of that are just spectacular.
They're going to be playing at the University of Minnesota. That's an outdoor stadium. Harkening back to the days of Bud Grant.
My daughter was in Minneapolis today. She called me as she got onto the plane. It was minus 22 degrees today. Okay, so if maybe next year we get that draw here in Gopher Stadium.
If I may be selfish for a moment, speaking of your bride, Kim, celebrating a birthday tomorrow, along with Jill Stenner celebrating a birthday tomorrow. She is happily married to our producer, Bob, and my wife, Holly Brenneman, just turned. I'll leave that blank.
Yeah, very careful.
Caught myself, Brian, thank you.
Very careful.
You had to pick me off the floor last week, and now you're catching me for giving away my wife's age.
I've been married 35 years. I've got to those lessons.
You know, we'd also like to take a moment, Brian, competitor or not, as far as television is concerned, But today marking the final game in the broadcast booth for Dan Deerdorf. What an amazing career he has had, not only as a player but also as a broadcaster. Has made the decision that he's going to enjoy life and move away from the broadcast booth, at least for the immediate future. And nothing but our very best to one of the game's all-time greats on the field, in the booth, and as a guy.
Very much so. No, Dan, as a player, as a broadcaster, in our business, to use the term, a great listen.
20,
Kyrie Robinson turns the corner down the sideline inside the 20. But it might come back.
Holding. Number 45, offense. 10-yard penalty. Repeat fourth down.
So deciding to go for it on fourth down. They get more than enough. And now does Sean Payton go ahead and send out the punt team? Yes, he does.
That was probably more on behalf of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers than it was for them, obviously. Just can this clock continue to wind down.
Kansas City has the football with 1:30 to go at the San Diego 20-yard line, well within field goal range. I don't know. I'm sure there have been far more outlandish and outrageous scenarios going into the final Sunday of an NFL season by which a team could make the playoffs. Brian, I'm not sure I ever can remember one where a team had to win its game, 3 other teams had to lose, and that's what ends up happening. It might happen today. (42-17), Tampa Bay with the football, and just under 7 minutes to play. Glennon hit hard as he threw by Roman Harper.
Well, Friday, January 10th, get ready for the new Fox comedy, Enlisted, about 3 brothers trying to get their platoon in shape to be the best they can be. Enlisted premieres Friday, January 10th, only on Fox.
New Orleans is getting ready to tie a ribbon around this number 6 seed in the final wild card spot in the postseason. Of course, 2 games still be determined. They're playing in Chicago, where the Bears lead Green Bay 28-27 with a little more than 6 minutes to go, and Green Bay with the football. Of course, Dallas and Philly later. Kansas City has just missed a field goal. That game tied at 24. A hit delivered by Raphael Bush on Tim Wright. And thankfully, Wright able to get up. But, you know, when you look at Seattle, now, you know, what, 3 quarters of this year, they have looked unquestionably like the best team in the NFL. I think some people have seen or feel like maybe we have a chance after watching Arizona go in there and win last week. Is Seattle an overwhelming favorite for you in the NFC?
I don't know that Seattle or Denver, who are going to be the #1 seed, are an overwhelming favorite anymore, but clearly they're going to be favored in every game going forward. They are tough at home, but we've seen chinks in the armor for both of them. This New Orleans Saint team is a team in the NFC that playing good defense, obviously what Drew Brees can do. They need to get the running game cranked up. You kind of find it in 2 camps. You have the teams, particularly the NFC, that are playing great defense, running the ball, solid quarterback play. We're talking about Seattle, San Francisco, Carolina.
Conduct. Number 29 of the kicking team. That player went out of bounds and did not return immediately back inbounds. 15 yards will be added to the end of the return. First down, New Orleans.
And then we have what I call the Hall of Fame division. We got the Tom Brady's, the Peyton Mannings, maybe the Aaron Rodgers, and Drew Brees. To that, obviously, these guys are always a factor, but they don't pack really great defenses. Of that group, this New Orleans team probably has the best combination of one of those Hall of Famers and maybe a good defense that could go on the road. If indeed Green Bay can find their way in there, they're suspect defensively. We know that Denver has some troubles defensively, and so that's something that it's interesting how you're in either camp. Good, solid, complete team, or you got a Hall of Famer that you're relying on to go into the playoffs and maybe get to the Super Bowl.
Luke McCown, of course, his brother Josh has had an outstanding run of it with the Chicago Bears this year. If the Bears able to hang on and win that game over Green Bay, Josh McCown has every bit as much to do with it as any quarterback would for his team in the NFL this year. His brother Luke, a little bit younger, in his 10th season. David, I'm with you. I couldn't believe David did not make the Pro Bowl.
Well, and Sean Payton told us that. When we visited with him, he said, I've been looking at the film of this guy. Someone's got to explain to me how Levante David is not in the Pro Bowl. Look at Drew Brees right here. Tell me he's not thinking about the next task. I mean, they're sitting here with a 42-17 lead. They're going into the playoffs, and I guarantee you his mind is already spinning forward in terms of what he needs to do, whomever they face, whether it's going to be Dallas, whether it's going to be Philadelphia. I promise you he's going to be watching that game tonight, and he's going to be doing it with a pad and a pencil because he's going to be taking notes.
Ready? Away! What's that?
Here yet again, just another reason why we, I started out saying this is a Hall of Fame guy. Well, no, those are two Hall of Famers on either side. A definite Dan Marino. We know that Peyton Manning is going to be slam dunk in the Hall of Fame 5 years after he leaves. Drew Brees the same way. The numbers he's put up, absolutely stunning. You could make a case when we talk about the greatest quarterbacks of all time. When you look at the numbers, okay, you got to separate the number of Super Bowls. Peyton Manning only has one. And you always have to start the argument. Are we going to count Super Bowls first or not? Because then, okay, then you got to go to the Tom Brady's and the Terry Bradshaws. But if we're going to remove that, not as a total qualifier, you look at the sheer numbers, this guy's in that conversation.
Akeem Spence, rookie out of Illinois, is injured for Tampa Bay. We'll take a timeout while they check on him. 4:16 to play, 42-17. They're still taking a look at Akeem Spence. It's a tough way to end the year. Of course, the ones that just really break your heart. Not that every injury isn't serious, but like the one we saw from Jake Long last week.
It just changes your entire offseason in a single play.
They're catching the 14-yard line, and we still have 4:02 to go. Drew Brees, a huge day today again. Only threw 7 incompletions of his 31 attempts, 381 yards, 4 touchdowns without an interception.
To 4 different receivers, 4 touchdowns. That's just 10 different receivers, 4 with touchdowns, 4 different receivers through touchdowns. Boy, that just shows you the diversity of this offense. Capabilities of that man, Drew Brees.
Michael Hill up to the 25, and let's send it back to Kurt Menefee.
Well, if the Chiefs beat the Chargers, then Pittsburgh's in the playoffs. But Kansas City's Ryan Suckup misses a 41-yarder at the end of regulation. San Diego's still alive in overtime at 24. Tom, Brian, and Laura.
And by the way, that's Drew Brees' backup for a number of years here, quarterbacking the entire way today for Kansas City, Chase Daniel. They did not play Alex Smith at all. They've gone to overtime. San Diego getting the football first.
Tom, we talk about the ebb and flow of this game. You and I did a game in Pittsburgh with the Detroit Lions where they were in a position basically to get a score, try a fake field goal, fail. Pittsburgh, who was down at the time, and what does a 0-4 start mean? Go the length of the field, score a touchdown, win the game, and the path that it put those two teams on from that point.
It's amazing, isn't it?
It just, that's what you love about this game.
I mean, but it is astounding to think what one team since that single play, and I mean literally since that, like you point out, because when they pulled the fake field goal, the Steelers had to go 97 yards, and that they did. The Steelers have not lost since, and the Lions have not won a game since, nor did they win today. And that might cost Jim Schwartz his job. I know you wrote a very interesting article, and look, we don't determine who gets hired and who gets fired. That's not our job. And you made a case in
keep them all. I made a case for all.
Why, or at least arguments why.
That's absolutely right.
You could say every team could and or should keep their coach. Not that you're endorsing that idea, but at least reasons why you might do it. Sacked by Gillette, giving him 11 on the year.
This could be a fascinating playoff picture. This is as open a field as I can remember. I know we've already talked about the #1 seeds in Seattle and Denver and how tough it is going to be to win at those places. But you can see a number of teams in both divisions. If and indeed Pittsburgh can find their way in the playoffs, Cincinnati, who's probably as good as anybody in the AFC, they really want to see the Pittsburgh Steelers again?
Yeah, right.
Come into there.
Of course, much is made of that game where the Steelers beat Cincinnati a couple of weeks ago. That was in Pittsburgh. The Bengals did beat them early in the year in Cincinnati. We're talking about some of the moments we've had with this crew this year. Take a look. McCown steps up and again looking for Jeffrey. And did he catch it inbounds and didn't look? They call it a touchdown.
Unbelievable.
I think you and I both feel that's the best catch we've seen this
Absolutely.
year.
Best play I've seen all year long. No question in my mind.
Saints just trying to run off the final 2:25. In Chicago, Green Bay has the football, facing a 4th down and 8 at the Chicago 48.
The Chicago Bears can find their way in right here.
Oh my
boy.
goodness, they just scored. Can you believe that? If you're talking about Aaron Rodgers against the Green Bay Packers, you can believe it. And they believe the Saints are ready for January football. 2 minutes to go, 42-17 in favor of the New Orleans Saints. Brian, it's been a real pleasure once again, my friend, to be around you and work with you every single week. Man, we have a lot of laughs.
It's been great fun, great crew. We can't thank everybody enough. We just sit up here and talk, and they seem to wrap all this stuff around us. It's been a great year, and boy, NFL couldn't have anything better. We got 2 minutes left in the game. There's still 2-3 games in the balance for the playoffs, not even withstanding what's going to happen tonight between Dallas and the Philadelphia Eagles.
Well, it has been a real pleasure to be around this entire crew, and we showed you some of the faces and all the names and the hometowns. The New Orleans Saints know they will be playing next weekend. Today's game being produced by Bob Stenner, directed by Greg Scopatone, technical producer Bob Mueller, technical director Dane Crawford, replay producer Mark Teitelman, our associate director Yvonne Wagner, broadcast associate Jordan Wolf. Thank our spotter up here in the booth, Scott Studley Snyder, our stats crew, Tom Barbary up here in the broadcast booth, Taylor Jones with us this year, Eric Norton and Mike Eldridge down in the truck, and all the others you do see and don't see. We cannot thank them enough. Spend every single weekend together. Last year, a distant memory for Sean Payton, Drew Brees, and this Saints organization. The Bounty Gate scandal, where Payton was suspended for the entire year. It was a disaster from the very beginning. And here they are with Payton back on the sideline. Got off to the big start this season. Had that first loss of the year and that thriller in New England. And here they are back in the postseason again under Sean Payton.
And every year, one of the wild card teams come in that you don't want to play. That may be this Saints team.
You're not going to believe what you're about to see. Let's go to Los Angeles for a game break.
You're right, Tom. How about this? 4th and 8, down by a point. Green Bay's Aaron Rodgers keeps the play alive. Hooks up with Randall Cobb, 48-yard touchdown. They don't get the 2-point conversion, but they lead it 33-28 with less than a minute left. The winner wins the NFC North and goes to the playoffs.
4th and 8, a 48-yard touchdown. And with all the talk about Aaron Rodgers, Randall Cobb every bit as important in that win if they hold on.
Absolutely.
.28 seconds to go. San Diego in overtime, needing to win to get into the playoffs or tie the game. But right now, San Diego has the ball at the Kansas City 16-yard line in overtime. Oh, doctor. The Lowe's postgame. The OT presented by Lowe's is coming up, and I mean to tell you, you'll want to tune in for that. As soon as we finish this one up, one more play to go, unless the Buccaneers spend another timeout. And we will send you to the final seconds of that game in Chicago. It is now a final. San Diego will play in the postseason at Cincinnati next weekend in the opening round of the playoffs. In overtime, a 27-24 win over Kansas City.